Hello, welcome to Revenant Reads. I'm Vin, and this is a video about my BookTube goals for 2024. So in this video, I'm just kind of looking ahead to the next year with a little bit of reflection on this past year. But essentially, as of right now, in December of 2023, how I see 2024 unfolding and some of the things I'd like to accomplish, really kind of BookTube and reading-wise. So what are some of my goals? I am once again the second year in a row doing Historathon. So Historathon 2024 is coming up, and if you don't know, Historathon is a year-long celebration where we read and discuss and just encourage people to basically try out or discuss or just talk about nonfiction history, basically a form of book that I love, that I don't think gets enough attention or love on BookTube. So I have some great co-hosts, once again, joining me for this. We split the year up into 4 quarters, with each quarter looking at a different time period. And to participate, all you do is you read a nonfiction history about that time period. And it can be from anywhere in the world, any culture. The first quarter is from prehistory to the year 500 CE. The second quarter is 500 to 1500. The third quarter is 1500 to 1820. And the last quarter is 1820 to the present. So I will, within about a week or so, I will be filling my pile of possibilities for the first quarter of Historathon, looking at ancient history. And I'm really looking forward to that event. My first love, I guess, with reading is nonfiction history, and I'm really glad that I have a way to kind of organize my reading and celebrate it and just geek out with other people and discuss. So another event that I have now run for 3 years, and I do plan to run it in this coming up for a 4th year in a row, and that's Book Trek. I am a big Star Trek geek, and one of the ways that I celebrate summer, I'm a teacher, my version of a summer beach read is Star Trek fiction. They can be cheesy and pulpy, but I just love experiencing that world. And I have found people who are willing to go along with me. So I do plan in the summer to bring back Book Trek as well. So that's going to be part of my plans. Over the last few years, I have also been reading Gothic fiction, all the way back from the 18th century through the 19th century. Early on in 2024, I plan to, for the most part, wrap up my 19th century reads. I'm going to be reading The Great God Pan and The King in Yellow. Now, there are some Gothic works from the 19th century that I didn't quite get to. Sometimes some because they're really long and I just didn't have the time to really invest in reading them. So I will eventually go back to some of those 19th century works. But for the most part, in 2024, I want to start reading more 20th century horror. And in particular, I do want to start getting through some Stephen King. I've read a number of Stephen King books, but if you can see back here, this whole this whole shelf and there, those are all Stephen King books that I have not read yet, and I've acquired them over time. And I am thinking about basically doing something similar to what I've seen a lot of booktubers do, a Stephen King reading project, reading Stephen King's books in publication order. And I did actually start that probably like a few years ago, but then I hit a brick wall, and that brick wall is that brick right there, the stand, which of course is a mammoth. So I'm thinking possibly for the BookTube event, March of the Mammoths, starting to tackle the stand. And I'm hoping that we'll get the ball rolling where I will be able to continue on with Stephen King's books. Now, I am not going to do an exhaustive study of Stephen King. I'm not going to read every single thing that he has studied. Every single thing that he has written. I want to read all the books that I own. And if I don't own it, I'm not going to freak out about it. And really, I'm going to mostly stick, I think, with the horror genre. So that's one of the goals that I have in 2024 is to get through a lot more Stephen King, in addition to some other 20th century horror, and really some fiction in general. I want to also get through some more of that. In addition to the horror aspect, I do want to get back into reading more horror studies. Something I used to read a lot of that once I joined BookTube, I just kind of get sidetracked and didn't read a lot. But over the last couple of months, I have started putting it into my reading habits, and I want to continue that. So what I mean by horror studies is studies in the horror genre, usually film, but looking at things like film history, film analysis, and getting those things back within my my reading cycles. And yeah, I mean, some other things I do want to get into. I have been learning some French. Last year, I had devoted a lot of study time to Latin. I wanted to read some Latin, and I could read some basic Latin at this point. But I finished up the books that I had for the Latin language. And for a while now, I've been practicing some French. And again, my main goal with language learning is to be able to consume content and especially read. So I'm hoping that at some point in 2024, I'll be able to start reading some basic French books. So that's another goal that I have. So those are the basic goals at this point for me. Some events that I do plan to take part in 2024, of course, in addition to Historathon and Book Trek. They are in April. I'm really hoping they do Saga Long again, where there are some booktubers who basically read through an Icelandic saga, and I really love that. And last couple of years, I have devoted April to studying basically also the Vikings and Anglo-Saxons to go along with Saga Long, so that's something I want to do. In May, there's maybe Midrash, which I'm hoping returns this year. I did it anyway last year, even though it didn't really run, but that is an event where you look at religion, generally a fiction and a nonfiction that deals seriously with religion, but you know, I kind of make of it whatever I want, but I want to reserve May to read a lot of books about religion. And I'm not entirely sure what other BookTube events I'm definitely going to take part in. Nonfiction November, I'm sure I'll do in one way or another. But I am not committing too much to, to participating in all these various events. I'm surrounded by books. All these books that are behind me, I have not read yet. So if an event comes along that coincides with a book that I'm already intending to read, then I'll probably jump in. But I am not planning on going out and buying any kind of books to participate in reads if I don't already have it. I am still at this point a little bit more than halfway through the Read What Your Own challenge, which I had committed to reading 25 books that I already own before I buy any more. I plan to be finished with that probably by the end of January, but still I'm gonna, I think, be very selective in the events that I participate in. So yeah, just wanted to kind of give a quick look ahead to what I am planning on for BookTube in 2024. Hope everyone has a great rest of 2023. Thank you, BookTube.